Barry Woerner against Gerry Thompson. Mono Black Eldrazi, Jeskai Black, both these players 11-1. Important match here as whoever wins, lock them in for top 8.
It's really sweet, too, because this deck from Woerner is just all the sweet Eldrazi from the previews. Every Eldrazi got a preview where you're like, okay, that's sweet. They're all matched together in the same deck.
It's a Prairie Stream to start here for Thompson off of Polluted Delta. Crumbling Vestige. We're going to test our new card knowledge here thanks to Barry Woerner.
Yeah, a lot of colorless land hits here. We got the Crumbling Vestige, Caves of Koilos, Landward Waste, Sea Great Wreckage, Mirror Pool, another very splashy card, seeing on the first time, Blighted Fen, Ruins of Oran Reef, and a couple of swamps. A couple of off-color swamps.
Yes, very much so. For Thompson, his play's boring. Wooded Foothills Mountain.
Yeah, lame, who cares?
Yeah, no one cares, Gerry. Blighted Fen, now that's cool. Thompson will get his Jace out of his sleeve. He'll untap, will take a draw. It's his 3rd turn of the game. And we'll see what comes here for Thompson. He's going to start by activating Jace. Time to draw and discard. 2 cards in the graveyard, so this will be the 3rd. Fiery Impulse was the draw. And Wooded Foothills is the discard. There's a Bloodstained Mire. That's land number 3. Card number 4 in the graveyard. And there's a Swamp. And now what's coming? Soulfire Grandmaster with Fiery Impulse at the ready. Does not have Spell Mastery, though. For Barry, a Swamp. And now a Matter Reshaper.
Here we go.
Fiery Impulse going to kill that. So, let's reveal. Thought-Knot Seer. That's going to go to the grip.
I was about to say, whoa, I must have misread that card.
Maybe a little bit better than you thought.
Yeah.
But Thought-Knot Seer could be coming next turn. Keep in mind that Fiery Impulse, that dealt 2, did have lifelink, so gain a little bit of life there.
Now, Gerry didn't know what was going on before. Now it is all clear.
It's very clear. And you have to imagine, too, as these players have been at the top tables, and Barry Woerner has been drawing a little attention to himself. He's 11-1 with a very unique deck, as Thompson's going to transform his Jace. Starts on 5, up to 6, Soulfire Grandmaster into the red zone. And there's a Mystic Monastery and a passing of the turn. And Barry Woerner's 4th turn draws a copy of Caves of Koilos. That'll be the land for the turn. Here is Thought-Knot Seer. Thompson going to play Crackling Doom. When Thought-Knot Seer leaves the battlefield, target opponent draws a card. Nice. And now you get to take a Fiery Impulse. Wandering Fumarole among the lands in hand here for Thompson.
Another spot where this card's a little bit worse than Vendilion Click. You don't have the option to decline. I think if Woerner could, he would have said essentially, keep the Fiery Impulse, don't draw a card, but he doesn't get that option.
Wandering Fumarole is the land, and now we're going to head back over to Barry Woerner. Jace at 7, by the way. There's a Wasteland Strangler. And, well, taking the card helps.
We're seeing it all the synergies.
We are.
Colorless Mana Matters, with a little processing action there.
But don't ignore the Mirror Pool that just got played, by the way.
Yeah, bring that one up here.
That one's got a lot of text.
A little refresher course. Does all sorts of things.
Well, there's the battlefield tapped. Taps for a colorless mana. And then 2 and a colorless, sacrifice Mirror Pool, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new copies for that. And then you sacrifice Mirror Pool for 5, put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of target creature you control. So a lot going on with that card.
Comes into play tapped, and taps for a colorless is a fairly enormous cost.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of awesome stuff going on there.
Thompson just recast a Fiery Impulse. What's next here? That's Reality Smasher.
Oh!
Disdainful Stroke is timely.
Come on. Yeah. Whatever.
A Blighted Fen and a passing of the turn.
Quickly, I am losing investment in this game.
Yeah. All the Eldra.
Wanted to see. They're all getting countered and killed. A lot of cards left over in Woerner's hand, fortunately.
That's very true. Let's head back over to Thompson with his active Jace. He'll draw. That's one of those turns. If he drew Chandra right there,
Oh, yeah.
the game's probably over.
Good spot for Chandra.
Instead, I think he might wander on in. It's an attack for 4. Woerner going to fall down to 10. Jace up to 5. Thompson will play a land in Flooded Strand, maybe. Yes, pass. Back over to Woerner. As you mentioned, quite a few cards left in hand here for Barry. His first initial threats have been taken care of. Looks like Ruins of Oran Reef there.
Little pumper for colorless creatures.
Yep. And battlefield tap. Taps for a colorless, and then put a +1/+1 counter on target colorless creature that entered the battlefield this turn. I like that flavor. Thompson will search up a Plains here with the Flooded Strand.
That's an homage to a different Oran Reef, right? There was something that pumped green creatures when they came to play.
Oran Reef, the Vastwood. Hello.
Nice when they can make a little callback.
Yeah.
Also, Woerner here, even though it looks as though he might just be flooding out, he also just might be sitting back on Blighted Fen this turn.
Yep.
Prevent himself from getting hit from the Wandering Fumarole.
Jace just ticks up, pass the turn back. Wandering Fumarole not going to attack. A Swamp here from Barry. And now it's a Transgress the Mind. He wants to see what's going on. A Roast in hand. Can't take that one, so that's going to stay for Thompson. Anything else here for Barry to do? Well, the way he's reaching for mana leads me to believe the answer is yes. Here's 4 mana. Thought Not Seer. The Roast's going to bite the dust. That thing gets a +1/+1 counter as well from Oran Reef. So it's a 5/5. Thompson going to sacrifice a fetch land here. Now, if memory serves, Gerry does have a Crackling Doom in the graveyard to take care of that. That he can recast with Jace.
And you can see the hesitation of Woerner the previous turn, because this is going to lead himself to take 2 from the Crackling Doom and then 4 from the creature land, leaving him at 4.
Wandering Fumarole does not mess around. Jace down to 3. Monastery Mentor. And now recast Crackling Doom. And that's pretty good too.
And I like Thompson giving up on the 4 points here to get a Monk token into play, because that protects him from the Blighted Fen.
Yeah. Let's go back Barry's way. He'll draw. Nothing on the battlefield for him right now. I think Thompson may have forgotten to draw since that did die. So they'll have to clear that up, I believe. Yes. So when Thought Not Seer dies, Thompson's supposed to draw a card.
Yes.
No. Yeah, target when Thought Not Seer, actually when it leaves the battlefield, so not even when it dies, if you were to bounce it, target opponent draws a card. So they are going to maybe, I don't think this is too tough to fix. Thompson's empty-handed.
Well, the question is, whose burden is it on to remind who of the trigger
exactly,
here?
Because it is Barry's card. So there you go. He draws. Problem solved. Continue play. Here's 3 mana. Matter Reshaper. Let's give that thing a counter. It's a 4/3 now. Land of War Waste. Pass the turn back. Thompson will draw. 2 cards in hand now.
I know there's a lot of Eldrazi synergies this deck is trying to achieve. It is hard for me to believe that Hangerback Walker is not good enough for this deck.
Yeah, Hangerback Walker is a heck of a card.
Especially with Ruin of Oran Reef. Got something going on there.
Thompson with a Murderous Cut and a Crackling Doom in hand, I believe. Pretty good hand. There's Cracklesworth.
There's what?
Cracklesworth. Oh, it's pretty clear. Mirror Pool going to go onto the battlefield. Wandering Fumarole. Beatdowns. Remember the Prowess triggers as well.
And Gerry can play over the top. Blighted Fen here pretty easily.
And that's exactly what he's able to do. Gerry Thompson going to win game number 1 here over Barry Woerner. Jeskai Black up a game here over Mono Black Eldrazi. Some of those Eldrazi's got killed and countered, and when they left the battlefield did not have a huge effect on things. So that's why Thompson able to win game number 1. As now we take a look at the sideboards, and the sideboards will start with Barry Woerner and his 3 Duress, 3 Self-Inflicted Wound, 2 Kalitas, Trader of Get, 2 Alternate Price, 2 Murderous Cut, Knob Nixos Reignited, a Read the Bones, and a Virulent Plague.
I like some mixture. I don't know if there's enough room for all this stuff, but the Duresses, the Read the Bones, and the spot removal in Ultimate Price and Murderous Cut. I think if Woerner can win the battle over Thompson's creatures, he has a much better shot. That game was kind of determined just by Jace. Jace flashbacked a million removal spells that game. If Woerner can defend himself a little bit better against Jace and make Thompson beat him more in a straight-up fight, I think Woerner has a much better shot.
On the other side of things for Gerry, he's got a Kalitas Trader of Get of his own, 3 Radiant Flames, 2 Roast, 2 Dispel, 3 Negate, some one-ofs here, and Utter End, Chandra Flamecaller, Linvala the Preserver, and Infinite Obliteration.
I definitely like the 1 copy of Linvala the Preserver here. Seems very good for mid-range creature decks that are erring on the aggressive side, which this Mono Black Eldrazi deck is. I think Utter End's just another fine creature removal spell, and Exiling's at a premium in this matchup for a couple different reasons. The 1 copy of Chandra also seems fine. Woerner doesn't have that many threats, so a clear board, you can kill him pretty quickly, and if Thompson falls behind, sweeping the board's also valuable.
Well, there are the options there for both players. Barry Woerner will be on the play for game number 2, and we'll see what kind of effect Eldrazi have in Standard, in Modern, and in Washington, D.C. next month when we do head there for Grand Prix Washington, D.C. We've got a lot of awesome guests coming, including guest of honor, Therese Nielsen. You can find out more about that tournament right now.
On March 11th through the 13th, Magic the Gathering heads to the nation's capital as StarCityGames.com proudly presents Grand Prix Washington, D.C. Grab 2 friends to compete in the team-sealed main event and receive a few extra allies in the form of 3 exclusive playmats, featuring Ondu War Cleric, Kor Skyclimber, and Malakir Soothsayer. In addition, we'll be bringing a few allies of our own, cosplayers Christine Sprankle and Jacqueline Foglia, along with an artist alley full of fan favorites, including guest of honor Therese Nielsen. Our 3-day Infinite Challenge option lets you compete in all challenge events over the weekend and receive a complete set of all 3 playmats. Prefer 100-card decks? Our Commander Celebration option includes a Zur the Enchanter playmat, a set of 5 Commander 2015 pins, and much more. Grand Prix Washington, D.C. will also feature an expanded side event schedule that now includes 2 Super Invitational qualifiers. Each Super IQ awards tons of prize wall tickets, along with 2 invites to an upcoming StarCityGames.com Invitational. So take the oath, gather your allies, and register for Grand Prix Washington, D.C. today.
March 11th through the 13th, Grand Prix Washington, D.C. Hope to see you there for some awesome action. I know, Patrick, you won't be there because of a wedding.
Breaks my heart to miss a team Grand Prix.
But I'll try to hold steady with the Maryland crew for you.
Especially because DC specifically.
DC is great.
I got to defend that one.
Oh, that's right. You got second there?
Last team Grand Prix there, yeah.
Yeah, second in 2004.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was there.
Team Shenanigans with Adam Horvath and Osip Levidovic.
Heck of a team. Can't even come and defend your turf. I say reschedule the wedding. Just disrespectful.
Very selfish of them, I know.
I agree.
So it goes.
Gerry Thompson will be there too. He'll be there with teaming with, I believe, Joshua Show, Hawk, and Raptor, Josh Utter Layton. So maybe
squad.
He can add a little bit more to his Magic resume, which is a very impressive one, of course, for the 31-year-old from Elk River, Minnesota. 18 open top 8s, 5 wins, 6 invitational top 8s, 2 wins. He's a longtime friend.
Yes.
For both of us. He's a maniac, but I love him.
Well, he's, had some crazy years in his early and mid-20s, like many of us do.
Yeah, don't we all?
Was settled into, kept a lot of the best parts about his personality, also has grown up quite a bit.
And wears a scarf well. Better than most.
Not better than Ben Rubin.
Well, no one wears a scarf better than Ben Rubin. Also, no one's better at Magic than Ben Rubin. No one's better at a lot of things than Ben Rubin. So it's understandable.
But Gerry is a close second in both categories.
Absolutely. Here's a Duress, Fiery Impulse down. A Wandering Fumarole, and we head back Barry Woerner's way. Llanowar Wastes, and now transgress the mind. Going to rip that hand apart. One thing he can't take is a Jace. Linvala in hand, along with Kalidas.
Like I said, I think Linvala is a great card for this kind of matchup. Maybe a little too slow for the absolute most aggressive decks in the format, but if you are a little bit on the slower side, still trying to beat down, it seems great.
Mystic Monastery, the draw for Thompson. There's a Wooded Foothills. Now here is Jace, Vryn's Prodigy. Wooded Foothills going to search up a mountain. We'll head back Barry's way.
Oh!
Well, see you later, Jace.
The processing after you exiled a card.
You see how it works, don't you? Combo.
It's like these synergies were woven in on purpose.
Well, Kalidas is back in the graveyard now, so there is that.
Delve implications,
Indeed.
which then lead to processing implications.
Also true.
So many ins and outs, what have yous.
And Wasteland Strangler, a pretty aggressive attacker, 3-power creature. Took the Fiery Impulse already with the Duress. This game is basically over.
Coast is clear. Who knows how many cards left in Woerner's hand?
Yeah, looks like 4. I know. It's just an attack.
Don't take that tone.
Games with Koilos. Here comes the big follow-up. That actually is a big follow-up. That's a Thought-Knot Seer. There goes Linvala. Thompson going to sacrifice Blue Delta. He's only got lands.
This is one of the spots where Thought-Knot Seer is a lot better than Vendilion Click. When your opponent has one spell in their hand, then it's awesome.
And that Linvala is basically gone for good. Maybe it gets processed, but I don't think Gerry has any way to bring it back.
Any Kolagon's commands? I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Thompson will draw. Ooh, Disdainful Stroke right on time. Pass the turn back.
For all of you at home who have been salivating over the potential of the Eldrazi, you're seeing it right now.
Oh, dear.
Almost had the best curve possible. Disdainful Stroke off the top, saving Thompson here, but
here's still an attack for 7. Thompson going to fall down to 8.
the gang is all here. This is all the sweet ones from the previews.
And it's 11-1, by the way. Thompson picked up a copy of Crackling Doom.
Great draw here.
Yeah, very, very good.
You get the Thought-Knots here off the board. Draw a card for your troubles.
Might want to main phase this?
Yeah, you have 2 mana creatures you could draw and cast.
I think it's a little interesting if you're supposed to wait, if you're supposed to just main phase this. Because you might have an interest in waiting in case you get destroyed by another Reality Smasher. But he's going to play Crackling Doom now.
I think the ceiling's high enough on him finding either Jace or Soulfire Grandmaster that it's worth doing it. I agree there's some risk.
Well, there's Shambling Vent. That was the draw off of Thought-Knot Seer dying. So now we head back Barry Warner's way.
Smashes Reality.
Just Wasteland Strangler. An attack for 3, head back over to Thompson. I believe Fiery Impulse the draw. Shambling Vent looks like it might get fired up. It will. There's an attack for 2 lifelink. Does Barry Woerner have a removal spell? He's reaching. Spatial Contortion. That'll take that down. +3, -3. Sunken Hollow. Pass the turn back. Here's an attack. That's a Fiery Impulse. Down goes the Wasteland Strangler. And Barry can only pass the turn back. So back to Thompson. Picked up a Polluted Delta. Is it time to wander on in? The answer is yes.
Might as well trade this off with a removal spell. If you draw Soulfire Grandmaster or Jace, you want those starts to stick.
Here's an attack. Will he spin it?
Also, Woerner might be on nothing, and you can end the game fairly quickly.
Well, he did spin it. Woerner down to 14. Woerner will draw. Barry looking for a Reality Smasher to end this game. That's a swamp. A little bit of frustration as he passes the turn back. Back to Thompson will go. He's going to sacrifice this Flooded Strand on his upkeep. Get a land out of his deck as he falls down to 4.
Yeah, he's already dead to Reality Smasher. He would like to thin his deck out a little bit, so then the question is, is there a big difference from going to 5 to 4? He doesn't want to go from 4 to 3 if he can avoid it because of Painful Truths.
Very true. Yep.
But 5 to 4 is a bit of a freebie here if he's already beat by Reality Smasher.
The draw, Crackling Doom.
And that thinning out.
So here's a question. The Crackling Doom was the draw, so is he supposed to keep attacking? Because he does not have the ability to attack with Wandering Ephemeral and cast Crackling Doom.
Well, I think sitting back and saying go comes with some risk too.
Yeah. Well, here comes the Wandering Ephemeral and a pump. Woerner down to 10.
You know that he doesn't have removal because he would have cast it last turn. You know that he doesn't have Reality Smasher because he would have cast that last turn as well. So you have a pretty big incentive there to attack if it's close.
Thompson going to sacrifice the Polluted Delta. He's going to fall down to 3. Now, Seagate Records was a land there for Barry Woerner. You see that adds a colorless, and then 2 and a colorless and tap it to draw a card. Activate this ability only if you have no cards in your hand, and Barry has 2.
The question is, what are those cards? He's been sitting on one for a while that appears to be a black card. Maybe Ultimate Price?
Ooh, that would be nasty. I think Treasure Cruise the draw there for Thompson. That's a goodie. He'll start by taking a cruise. Going to use the Sunken Hollow to cast it. So he's going to delve away 7 cards. Just got to figure out what 7 it's going to be. Looks like Disdainful Stroke's going to leave. Same with Fiery Impulse. A bunch of other stuff. So he's going to leave some lands down there. 3 cards on the way here for Gerry T. Roast, Soulfire Grandmaster. Now it feels like Wandering Ephemeral can hang out on defense or just not be active because he can play Soulfire Grandmaster and leave up Crackling Doom.
He can do that, though. Again, he's in this weird spot where Woerner has an incentive to play the cards that are in his hand. If he's not doing, especially now because of Seagate Records, if he's not doing that, what's in his hand, Gerry might feel like Ultimate Price is extremely likely right now. He's going to keep the Soulfire Grandmaster in his hand, so at least he has a shot of gaining some life with a Roast or Crackling Doom right away.
Obnixilis the draw.
Not worth a whole lot here either.
No, it's really not. Still think you got to cast it.
Sure.
That's exactly what Barry's going to do.
The old can't take it with you philosophy.
Ah, yes, your favorite. Up to 6, draw a card. Duress. Now, keep in mind, the activation of Obnixilis brought Barry from 6 to 5. If he casts Duress, it brings him from 5 to 4. And the Wandering Ephemeral will attack for 4.
Yep.
So he actually can't even cast the Duress. Now Thompson going to fall down to 2.
I really think that Thompson sniffed out Ultimate Price as being very likely to be in Woerner's hand.
So he does have some in his deck after sideboard. He has 2 in the sideboard, and they have quite a few targets in this matchup. Thompson will draw a card. Picked up another copy of Roast. Does Gerry still believe he's clear for takeoff? Well, he's reorganizing some mana here, so he's going to fire on in. There's an attack.
And now Obnixilis essentially doesn't have a text box.
Yeah, well, Crackling Doom can finish him off, and that's exactly what's going to happen. And it was Ultimate Price in hand there for Barry Woerner. Gerry Thompson's going to win this match over Barry Woerner, 2-0. Jeskai Black will take care of Mono Black Eldrazi. Thompson moves on to 12-1, and we've got our first player into the elimination rounds. That's Gerry T.
Congratulations to Gerry Thompson. Very cagey play there in the second game. Took some risks as well, which I really liked. For Barry Woerner, his second loss of the tournament. Still in great shape to make the top 8. Hopefully we'll see him there as well. This is really the hypothetical deck that a lot of people cooked up, or very close to it, when a lot of the Eldrazi started getting previewed, and Woerner is proving that the deck has some legitimacy here with this run. It'd be great to see him in the top 8.
Gerry T, another top 8. We're going to have to update that player slide. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, yet another one.
So congratulations to him, as we are going to bring it on back to the booth here.